Hey everyone, this is Patrick with the All Things Private Practice podcast. I am joined by my good friend Ernesto Segismundo. He is an LMFT out of California and a entrepreneur extraordinaire, has a million businesses that are wildly successful. And I'm really just happy to have you on here and talk about where you started and how you got to where you are right now.
Patrick, first of all, thank you so much for that introduction. I gotta say the same thing about you, man. Within a few months, you reached out and talked about a few ideas. Next thing you know, I'm turning around and you got a freaking group practice and you are a coach, a business coach for therapists. Now you have a damn podcast. What the hell's happening here?
It's been a wild ride and I'm still kind of like waiting for it to all come crumbling down. You know, that weird imposter syndrome of like, this is just luck or I just lucked into this. I know you talk about that a lot and that's definitely an experience on a day-to-day basis.
Of course.
And you and I did coaching together, man. And I can't tell you how helpful that was to have someone who thinks outside of the box, who has someone so creative of like, yes, you can do this stuff. Stop listening to people who tell you that you can't, because I think that's a big part of the therapist culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that we're going to be talking about today is when you do something big and you step outside of the comfort zone, people are going to start projecting their insecurities onto the things that you're doing, not necessarily to you, but all the things that they're seeing on social media about you. Oh, and one thing I forgot is that now you're a damn speaker. You're a speaker. When you think about all of these things, when people look on the outside, you're going to have a target on your back, because when you start doing things that are big and that are just unnatural for us as clinicians, entrepreneurs, when you see someone doing big things, you start looking at how insecure you feel, how, the shoulds, the people telling you, look, Patrick, come down from, don't do all those things, because you know why? All the great things that you're doing is reminding me that I can do it and I'm scared. So knock it off. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And it sounds like you're probably experiencing a lot of the same, considering the empire that you've created, even since COVID started. Because I remember watching you start these recordings, right? Like, I'm going to teach therapists how to use Zoom to sell their platforms or sell their businesses. And I took one of those and I was like blown away by the fact that you use your ADHD energy and creativity and being stuck in the home to transform your businesses. It's been unbelievable to watch.
It's been really one of the things that I want to talk about with my journey. Many of us we have a first way of perceiving the world, right? It's not a secret that I struggle with depression. I struggle with ADHD. And what many folks don't know about ADHD is that if you don't exercise your creativity and if you don't allow your body to move a certain way, so I have the mix. I've got the inattention and the hyperactivity. Now, if you stunt the growth or actually the activities of the inattention and also the activity, depression is actually what comes along. So for those of you who work with clients who struggle with ADHD, know that depression is actually very, very common. And so the way that I address my depression is by movement, is by being creative. That's why I do promotional videos. And throughout my high school time and middle school in the Filipino culture, pathology does not exist in their minds. In the Filipino culture, it's mental health. We don't even have words for depression in my culture. And so growing up, there was no understanding of this. And imagine a lot of kids who grow up in BIPOC communities, especially indigenous cultures, we don't have these words. So as I'm growing up, I've been told to be put in a box, stay still, focus, stay on one thing, do this, do that, do this and that, thinking that that is my path to success. But the way that I work now is that I look at the world in a possibility aspect. So what that means is I have an idea, I have a thought, let me go after it. If I hit a wall, let me move behind that wall, let me adjust and go towards it. Because if I really want to go towards something that I've been thinking about, I'm going to go after it, And the thing is, with a shame-based culture, no matter what culture in. When you fail, you have fingers wagging at you. Like I told you, you should have focused. You should have been strategic about this. You should have followed the rules. And then we get scared, right? So I want to help other creative individuals to be like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go after or get coaching and support from someone who will encourage me towards it and who will not shame me if I hit a wall.
Absolutely. Well said, man. And growing up like that, in the Filipino culture and in Hawaii, and you've talked about your childhood a lot and your experiences. What was it like? Like, what did that do to you when you were put in a box or told this is how you have to behave or interact and react? How did you kind of handle that?
I grew up in a culture that in the Filipino culture, you were told that education was a big thing and making money was also a big thing, but there was a lot of contradictory things going on there. In my education, I had to get up to a certain level, like A's, B's were good. So if you were a C student, that means you have, a 20% chance of being successful in the future. Lo and behold, fast forward, I have 3 different businesses and I'm about to have 25 clinicians working for me who are licensed.
Holy shit.
So basically, that type of mindset does not work anymore. That doesn't comply. And I brag about not being an A student. I actually brag about being a DC student.
Yeah. I mean, I think that sends a message of hope, right? Like, you don't have to do things a certain way to be successful.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So growing up, there was certain things, right, to look at. Hey, here's the level. Just graduate high school. Just graduate high school and just work. That's it. Then you'll be considered successful. But what that does is that it traps many of our people into a certain level. Once you reach that, it's like, oh, I reached it. So what else is there, right? For me, luckily I was surrounded by really strong women. My sisters were entrepreneur. They were independent. They were creating businesses out of nowhere. My dad was a hard worker, my mom as well too. And I also had people around me that thought bigger, that wanted to go to college, wanted to do things, right? So I saw them working, but they also did not have the strategy and the money mindset, the money thoughts, the entrepreneurial savviness that I had to develop on my own. But I knew deep down that there was something much more for me. So I went to college and then I went higher education and then I went into a professorship. Now, people in my culture look at that and go, holy shit, because it's so foreign, right?
Sure.
A lot of us growing up in no matter what race you are, we grew up in certain types of cultures that makes you believe that, look, once you get to this level, then you're good to go. But not very many cultures tell you, look, that's the level, but aim higher. I don't know, for those of you who saw the movie Shang-Chi, one of the things that was said in there was, if you don't aim at something, you aim for nothing. I think that's what it says. But I will get actually to the actual term for it. But basically, we are sometimes told to not aim, not go for something. And so you're not going to get anywhere.
Play it safe.
Yeah. And therapists are risk adverse anyway. And so the more you perpetuate that, the more you're not going to get anywhere. So throughout time, as I build my businesses, as I experiment with certain types of businesses, I have some people that's like, okay, be careful. Don't do this. Don't go there. You shouldn't do that. You should be ethical. You should be this and that. And it's like, holy shit, calm down.
It's notorious in the therapeutic culture, right? For therapists to almost be telling other therapists what they think they should or shouldn't do.
Absolutely. And the thing is, my thought is this, Patrick, when you start doing things that are bigger and outside of the box, a lot of people's insecurities are going to be activated and projected onto you, and not necessarily onto you, but the things that you are doing, because it reminds them of their potential, but it scares the shit out of them to actually follow through with that. So, you have a lot of people who talk the talk, right? But they're not necessarily walking it. They're not necessarily going after it. I want to make $1 million, but okay, what are you doing to get to that place?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's no plan of action and there's no ability to step into that fear or risk either, and to hold themselves back by telling that narrative of, you can't be successful. You can't do this. This is not going to work.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I talk about a lot is movement, right? There's a part of the brain called the RAS, and you've heard me talk about this before. And the RAS actually it is a part of the brain that says, this sounds familiar, this looks familiar, and I will focus on that thing, right? So anytime this is where the concept of what you focus on expands. So if you focus on something that is going to not work, your body will respond to it. Your brain will actually look for things to sabotage that which you are trying to attain. That's what the brain does. But if your brain is positioned to go, you know what, this is going to be hard, but I'm going to go after it, and then you actually do it, the next time you do something like that, you go, well, the brain goes, remember when you did that last thing that was really difficult, but actually it happened? Maybe, just maybe, this is going to happen again. So go ahead and do it. And the more you succeed in that, it starts looking for ways to find loopholes to get to your goal. That's what the brain does, and that's also called resilience as well, too. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and your brain starts understanding that it can and be creative to find ways. People ask me all the time, you have 3 different businesses. And if I was honest, there's actually 4 or 5, but we're just going to keep it on the side, right? But they go, how do you do it? It's because my brain is triggered to find ways to make everything succeed and to actually follow through. And if I come up with a block, my brain is going to find a way to get to that spot.
If you're in private practice like me and you don't know what the hell you're doing when you start out, you probably don't know that you should be having a HIPAA compliant phone system. A lot of us use Google Voice. A lot of us use our regular old phone number. Some of us even go and get a second line at our cell phone carrier. None of those are recommended. I learned that the hard way. HIPAA compliant phone systems are really important in private practices. You want to protect your client information. You want to protect yourself. I've been using Spruce Health for almost 4 years now. I don't ever represent services that I don't believe in because I believe that's my reputation as well. Spruce Health is just a wonderful resource for private practice clinicians, group practices, medical practices. It's a wonderful resource to be able to have HIPAA compliant phone, text, fax, and telehealth. The faxing is wonderful to have. The telehealth quality is fantastic. You can schedule send messages. You can save auto responses. You can even charge clients via Stripe. It's really easy. They're a wonderful little company out in San Francisco. Their customer service is fantastic. Staff have the mission of not only making it easier on us as practice owners, but easy on the clients and making sure that their communication is protected. You can use a code that we've created called podcast20, and you can get 20% off your entire first year. Go to sprucehealth.com. I highly recommend it. What do you think the difference is for people with that ability to say there's a barrier or an obstacle, but I'm going to think creatively to work through it or around it, compared to the people who get to the barrier and are like, they wave the white flag and are like, no more, can't do it. This isn't going to work.
Yeah, and that's a very, very good question, because there's also a sense of always achieving to be better, right? Always achieving to want to know more. So let me give an example of what this looks like from my perspective. I knew that there was more to this world and to my gifts, to the things that I was doing, with 2 different experiences. One experience, and many folks have heard me talk about this, was in my mom's passing. My mom passed away in 2014 suddenly. That's one pivotal moment when I knew there was much more. During that time, I was working a lot, and my mom was asking me a lot to come home during that time, but I was so focused on building a business empire that was just my single focus. Then my mom passed away, and in her death, I actually found how to live, because I was putting all of my thoughts and my energy onto building something. But in the long run, I was like, what the heck is this? There's much more to this. And I lost my ability to go home to be with my mom, who's been asking and all of that stuff. And suddenly I'm burying her. So in her death, I found life. So that's one instance. The other is when I went to Florence and I went to visit the Duomo.
Beautiful place.
Oh my gosh. If you have ever been to the Duomo, Florence, you have to, because it's just an incredible place. So I saw the David and I stood in front of the David. And the David is actually all in the back, and all the sculptures that was done had had all the flaws, big hands, big head, big torso is all on display. So when you're walking through the hallways, you see all the flaws, but you see David, the beautiful David. And one thing that I didn't know was the marble that was used for the David needed to have a certain type of vein in it. And I didn't know marbles had veins, but it has veins in it. And so it just needed that. So it was perfect in nature. And when I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, the creation of this thing just in front of me is just awe-inspiring. And knowing how it was made, where it went, what type of marble, where they got the marble, and how they transported the marble, this thing here. I was just floored. And so those are some of the two aspects that came up for me and my experience in Rome when I had communion in the Vatican and did all of these things because, that's my faith as well too. And I was just floored with all of these things that was going on. So when you look at it from a perspective of entrepreneurship, you come back to a place where when they get to that place and they wave their white flag. So let me give an example about this white flag is some people have that goal of 1 million, right? They make the 1 million and they go, what's next? And they stop.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, life is not all of business entrepreneurship is not about that 1 million. It's about experiencing life with that million. What is that million going to be doing for you to experience life?
Absolutely. I was going to say entrepreneurship is about freedom, right? Like about autonomy, the ability to be in movement, to be creating, to be experiencing life. Like otherwise, we're just recreating our corporate 45, 50-hour a week job and kind of like just grinding all the fucking time.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I appreciate about you is you understand the value of travel because travel gives you the experience, right? So when I've never been to Ireland. I've never been to parts of Europe that you've been to. I've never seen volcanoes in, where did you go? Europe?
Iceland.
Iceland. When I see stuff like that, I'm going to Travelocity and Delta and I'm going, okay, when did he go? I love that. I love it when people post places where they've been. A colleague of mine was posting about Turkey. Next thing you know, I bought a plane ticket to Istanbul the other day.
Nice. That's amazing. I know how much you love travel. So it's just always exciting because you and I met that way. Like you were like, hey, I might go to Estes Park, Colorado. Want to come? I was like, yeah, let's fucking do this. And like traveling to me is where I find my most creative self because you're immersed in experience, culture, food. And for people who are neurodivergent, I think taking in all those senses, it's really incredible. It's really empowering to me.
Absolutely. So sometimes when I scroll past like posts that are not interesting to me, what's interesting to me is when people post their food, when people post their trips in places where I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting. That's what Instagram and social media is all about anyway. It's like making you feel like, oh, there's much more to what we're doing in life, right? And so with the COVID era, there's a lot of unfortunate things that happen in the COVID era, but there's also some really fortunate things in the context of online businesses. And so it allows us to be in a certain place, but still fulfill our roles. And now it's tax write-off for a lot of things, right? You're going
That's
to
right.
Ireland and you know for a fact that that's going to be a tax write-off because you're doing research for your retreat.
Right. Absolutely. And I've seen you do the same for your retreats in Hawaii and you're not your typical psychotherapist summits and like everything you're doing. And man, give yourself some credit because you're a big cheerleader for a lot of people. You started all of these things during COVID, like your Zoom webinars to teach therapists how to use Zoom, translated into coaching, translated into more speaking engagements, more retreats, like building, building, building. And do you think when people are scrolling through your posts about building, 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 that's when the comparison trap comes up? That's when the insecurity comes up that you're experiencing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I try to do as much as possible is balance that out with how difficult it is for me to get here. Many folks do things on social media. It's like, hey, I did this, I did that. But I know for a fact what you've been through to get there, because there is no way you're going to be doing all of those things that you're doing and you're just sitting around not experiencing some sort of a suffering or heartache. You know what I mean? Or else you're really good at faking it. I don't know, or really privileged enough to execute that without any difficulty. But for me, no, having a group practice, I have sleepless nights at times going, what do I do in this context? How do I take care of this? Oh my gosh, I got another email for this. It's a thing.
It is
you
a
know?
thing. You're so right. And I think people scroll through social media. It's a powerful tool, right? In good and bad ways. And they see these things and they're like, from the outside looking in, this is easy. I see so many people say, how do I create passive income? How do I create, stuff that I don't have to work so hard for? And it's like, because you have to fucking work and struggle and fail sometimes in order to get to a place where that revenue starts generating too. And I had the same sleepless nights, man. I was actually having one about my group practice the other day. Like, oh my God, we don't have a discharge letter. I need to get up and like maybe write that right now while it's in my mind. I was like, no, no, no. It can wait. Just put it in your schedule send for tomorrow, right? I saw you post about schedule sending texts, and I was like, yeah, schedule send. I will do it tomorrow, but I need to get it out of my brain right now because it's going to consume me.
Exactly. And so, I balance that out with the reality. Yes, especially with my summits, people are like, my gosh, you make that look easy. Hold on. It's not. Okay. I got to negotiate. They cost thousands of dollars. And you've got people who are unhappy sometimes about the cost. I had an email. Okay. I'm not going to rag on this emails like this, but I got an email stating that, oh, does the registration for your Kona summit includes, and the registration is $675. Okay. When you get everything, $675. Does that include freaking airfare and lodging? Who asked that in there after 18 years old? You don't ask questions like that because, first of all, if you travel, there's no excuse for you to know that it costs money to travel. What the
Some
actual fuck?
Someone actually asked you that? I believe it because I've seen the emails that you've showed me before, but that's fucking ridiculous. Like the cost itself is so cheap for a summit anyway in Hawaii. And then you got to think, yeah, that's ridiculous.
It is, well, it's one of those things where like you have to take a deep breath and you do send, a scheduled email because you want to be able to look at your email and go, okay, I hope that's not a me email. But at the same time, you're like, wait a minute, I can understand if a 15-year-old who hasn't traveled asked that question, but you know what I mean? It's like, what is going? So, when you look at it from a certain perspective, all of the things that I'm doing right now, there lies a struggle. And I think when we go through the success, when we do all these things, people will project their stuff onto it. They're going to look at you like you're doing it so easily. So I'm really open about my depression, about my own struggles as an entrepreneur, and some of the target that's on my back. People will talk shit, and I don't know. I'm a nice guy, right?
You are a nice guy. You support everyone that you come in contact with. So I hear you. The target on your back, right? Like people are saying Ernesto's doing too much. Ernesto's only posting pictures of life is easy or situations like that. But the fact of the matter is, I've seen the behind the scenes, Ernesto. Like you care so deeply about the experiences people have, especially the connection piece. I think all of your businesses are about connection. And I've seen you running around the Hawaii summit, like doing A, B, and C and doing a bunch of different tasks to make sure like people are having a good experience. And it obviously matters very much to you. And people from the outside looking in don't see the work that goes into that.
And the thing is, they shouldn't. But at the same time, it's like, just don't be me. You know what I mean? Just don't be me. And it's got me thinking about, the way that I handle situations like this. And sometimes I have to say, I'm open about it on social media, these little mini jabs to the haters, to the naysayers, to those who throw out the ethical word like it's freaking candy, I'm open about those things because I know for a fact that I'm not the only one. And in my coaching, sometimes when people text me or email me, it's like, oh my gosh, I went through some of those things. Yeah, I know it's a thing.
You've told me before that with success, you attract and repel. And you say that a lot. And I agree wholeheartedly. And I think with more success comes more people who obviously, like you've said, are going to be jealous, resentful, insecure, haters, so to speak, because they're kind of seeing this and saying, why can't this happen for me? Why is this not my experience, right? Like we get so caught up in that comparison trap. And it's unfortunate, man, because it really does happen to everyone. And you told me when I started getting emails from people saying like, you shouldn't curse. It makes you unprofessional and lazy. It's like, well, I guess I've arrived. It's because I'm getting hater emails.
Or people correcting your freaking grammar on a damn email. Like, for real, do I have to throw out my Hawaiian Filipino card where we don't look at grammar the way that Western societies do? Like, what the fuck?
And you handle those gracefully because you asked me that in Colorado, like, hey, how would you handle this email about grammar? And I was like, oh, tell them to fuck off. And you're like, no, 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 that's not how you should handle this. Like, I'm going to respond gracefully, but I'm also going to be firm and like, hey, if you don't like it, you don't have to follow me. You can hit unsubscribe. You don't need to tell me this.
Absolutely. And it's just one of those things where when I do things, I do it for the people that respond, right? I throw jabs, yes, at people who says stupid shit to me. But I don't react to it. But I mostly do these funny things, these things that I post. Hey, I bought a new car. I did this. I did that. I do it for the people, that has aspirations and it makes them possible. I post a lot of my group practice because it's possible. When I posted the post about offering health insurance to my full-time clinicians, I got so many emails about that because it's freaking possible. It is possible.
Yes, because it comes back to wanting to take care of the people who help you create success, right? Like you and I have talked about this. I remember being in Colorado and you were gift shopping for your staff because you were like, I want them to know that I appreciate them. And that mentality creates abundance, right? Like your success equates to my success. And then we can build each other up and recommend each other and support one another. And we don't have to be competitors because everyone's personality types are so different that we're going to attract and repel.
Absolutely. You make a very good point, and maybe this is a topic for next time, but taking care of the people that took care of you is huge for me. And right now we have another office space here in Fullerton, California, and we landed an 8 office suite. And instead of me stressing myself out to decorate every single room, what I did was, you know what? You guys worked so hard for me. You guys did a lot of things for me. Why don't we just go ahead and shop for your office space or your furniture? And holy crap, people were like, what? Like, yeah, pick it out. Like, don't look at the numbers, just go ahead and pick it out. There's that idea of taking care of others who took care of you. And it really stems from my upbringing as well, too. That's the Filipino culture. We take care of each other. But at the same time, what I'm doing with my clinicians is that you work so hard for me. Let me go ahead and give you that environment to do it.
Absolutely. You're showing appreciation. And I think that creates and fosters leadership within your group practice, I imagine. It allows people to feel appreciated. I imagine they feel even more loyal to the business because they're like, this is a fantastic place to work. And I've taken the same mentality with my group practice of like, I want to pay these people well. They do all the work. Like I might help them bring the clients in, but they're the ones listening and absorbing and supporting all these people. So they need to be compensated well. They need to be taken care of. And I need to show them appreciation because they're helping me step away from being a therapist.
Absolutely. And my clinical staff know that once I'm free doing some other things, I do marketing for them. I start doing other things. And you know what happens? Some of them also starts defending me and starts saying some things about me that's like, this is his character. This is what he does. And when they say, well, does Ernesto really give that much? Does he really? It's like, yeah, even much more. So I like that kind of stuff. And plus that's just part of being a good human to those who helped you and grow your empire. That's just the thing. So going back to our original conversation, when you start doing all of these other things, you are going to inspire people by the things that you're just doing. And you're also going to repel those people that are not supposed to be in your circle anyway, and who are just chomping at the bit to see you hit a wall, right?
It is unfortunate. I've noticed that the more success that I've had this year, I've gotten a lot of unfriending. I've gotten a lot of unfollowing. I've gotten a lot of people putting jabs in like, hey, you're doing too much. You're in workaholism mode. Like, this is capitalistic. You can't turn it off. And I'm like, this is just me being creative. Like at the end of the day, this is where my creativity comes out. This is when I feel really energized. And I get the sense from most entrepreneurs that we have some ADHD traits or qualities, and that's where our creativity flows. And the people who become very successful don't do it alone. And I think that we don't do that by alienating and comparing and essentially downgrading finding other people who are doing whatever they want and living their lives and creating their visions. And your vision's amazing, man. Like I've always been almost like a fanboy, from the moment I saw you posting about not your typical psychotherapist in Anaheim several years ago. I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. But in my mind, I was like, but I can't go to that because I don't have anything to offer. And it's been crazy over the last couple
Now
of
you're a
years.
speaker. That's freaking hilarious.
I don't even know if I can take that in yet. Like, I don't think that's going to feel like a reality until it happens. And I'll probably like go into a panic attack mode and just be like, I don't even remember what I just said for the last hour. But I love your story because you've been so open about it. Your mom passing, your culture, moving to California on your own and just taking that leap of faith and kind of breaking the mold, right? Like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to pursue higher education. I'm going to do all of these things. And I love the drive and I love how you move in the world with all of this stuff. And you've told me about how you started just doing some recorded videos here and there and getting good at it. And then all of a sudden that's become an empire in itself, like traveling all over the world to film promotional videos for therapists to help them with their video marketing. I love that. The one we did here in Asheville was fucking awesome. I hope the ones that you're able to do in Ireland in March are fucking amazing. And you don't lose any drones in the process.
Even if I do, that's an experience, right? Even if I
landed on top of a castle in Ireland, and that's a good story to tell.
Awesome. Getting arrested, trying to climb up, get the drone off of this ancient ruin. Oh my gosh.
I'm just inspired by what you do, man. And I hope you know how many people appreciate what you bring to the table of psychotherapy, how you try to break the mold. The not your typical psychotherapist movement is huge right now. It's just really a fantastic thing that you've created. And I just applaud your success and your new business in Hawaii, by the way, with your sisters.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And, I think there's a lot of us who move through the world through the lens of creativity. And I just tell people, just be creative. You will not ever hear a no from me. It's like, all right, how do we get there? What's the avenue? What's the block? Let's get there. All right, you want to shift? Let's shift, but we need to keep moving.
Absolutely. And that is true, everyone. I've done coaching with him. I've become friends. I see it all the time. If you're looking for someone who's always going to be telling you, yes, you can do this, he's your guy. And Ernesto, you have so much coming up. Tell everyone who's listening what you've got coming up and how they can find it or how they can find you.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to let you all know that Patrick is going to be one of my speakers at the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist Summit in Nashville. And I encourage you all to go there because it's going to be a lot of fun to see Patrick there. He'll also have a booth to talk about his coaching, all of that other stuff. So lots of fun. You can get on my email list or follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And I'll go ahead and send you all that information, Patrick, if you want to send that out to folks. But, it's not hard to find me, especially on social media. I post my lifestyle on there. I post things.
his shoe game all the time. His shoes.
Oh my gosh, my shoe game. Yeah. So that's the stuff that's coming up. I've got a few things coming up as well in Hawaii. You'll also get that through email. But there's a lot of really cool things going on in our world for the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist world next year. And so would love for all of you to see all of that unfold.
Yeah. And I will supply everyone who's listening and following with all of the links to Ernesto's stuff, his coaching, his promotional videos, his Not Your Typical Psychotherapist conference in Nashville during Memorial Day weekend of 2022, his Connection Summit in Kona, Hawaii in August, and everything else that he's doing right now. So follow him on Facebook, follow him on Instagram, and just really start to get involved with the Not Your Typical Psychotherapy movement. It's been a pleasure having you on, man. And it always is good to connect. Everyone who's listening, thanks for tuning in to the All Things Private Practice podcast. Download, share, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and we will see you next Monday.